What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and we are finally back with some more Ark Insights. Now, this goes out to a very special person. I can't exactly remember your name, to be honest with you, but I see your comment pretty much on every single one of my most recent videos. Now, you finally got your wish. Here it is, mate. Ark Insight, the YUTYRANNUS versus the Rock Drake. Now, let's get into it, guys. Alright, but first off, before we do that, just want to do a little quickie. Thank you very much, guys, for the continued support on the channel. I appreciate it greatly. I hope you guys are all enjoying the new content coming your way. The God of War, the Fortnite, the bit of Overwatch that we've been doing. You know, hopefully you guys are enjoying it. But we're going to be trying to get into some more Monster Hunter as well. And even some more Overwatch as well. Expect some Monster Hunter top 5s on the way. Hopefully you guys will enjoy those. But without further ado, let's get into the insight. Alrighty. So the Rock Drake versus the Yeti. Technically, you can't get these guys on the same map together without transferring them server to server. But you know, that doesn't really matter because these guys are still great. Now, first off, we're going to start off with their base stats. Now, you can see here the Rock Drake at level 1 has 900 health, 450 stamina, 400 weight, and 88.2 melee damage. Not bad stats for a level 1, but you definitely wouldn't want to invest your time into getting a Rock Drake egg that's only a level 1. Trust me, it's going to be a huge waste of your time. Okay, let's take a quick look at the Yeti stats. Now, in case you haven't noticed, the YUTYRANNUS has the exact same stats as the Rex. Same health, same stamina, same weight, and I'm pretty sure it does deal the same amount of melee damage. Now, you can see here the YUTYRANNUS has 1100 health, 420 stamina, so already it has an extra 200 health and stamina on top of the Rock Drake. It has 500 weight, which is 100 higher than the Rock Drake, and 125.8 melee damage percent. So, all in all, these guys are pretty solid mounts. Obviously, at level 1s, you aren't going to be finding these guys at level 1 since it's pretty much impossible. But, you know, for the purpose of these tests, these guys are at base stats. Alright, so now that we've looked at their base stats, let's get them into a movement speed battle. Now, with this one, we will be doing two different scenarios, because obviously the Rock Drake does have the ability to glide, whereas the YUTYRANNUS does not. So we'll be doing the Rock Drake sprinting, as well as gliding, to see, obviously, just how fast these guys really are. Okay, so here we are. We're with the Rock Drake. We're at the starting point of this race. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to run from here to that little indent. You can see there's like a little finish line kind of thing going on. We're going to run to there with the Rock Drake and determine how fast he is. Alright, so we're away. Now you can see that little indent just there. And we're going to see just how fast he is. So he managed to get there in 6 seconds while sprinting. So this little indent right here, you can see 6 seconds is how long it took for the Rock Drake to sprint to that point. Now, another really annoying factor with the YUTYRANNUS in that it shares the same stats as the Rex is that its stamina usage is also just as terrible as the Rex. So, the chances of the YUTYRANNUS actually making it to the finishing point with stamina while sprinting is very slim. Alright, so let's get him underway. Alright, now you can see here, there we go, he's away, and he isn't as fast as the Rock Drake, but the YUTYRANNUS is definitely one of the fastest creatures in the game. And it took the YUTYRANNUS 8 seconds to get there, and he did actually have enough stamina to make it, which is surprising, but he only has about 10 seconds of stamina, so he was able to complete the course in 8 seconds, which is pretty good. However, the Rock Drake was faster, coming in at 6 seconds while sprinting. Alright, so we're going to jump onto the Rock Drake now. We're going to get a little bit of a run-up, because obviously you need a bit of a run-up for the glide ability to work. Alright, here we go. Let's see if we can get this to work. Now, we're going to try and do our best here. Here we go, and we're away. And look at that, like 3 seconds it took him. Not even that. I'd say 2 seconds. Yeah, 2 seconds it took for the Rock Drake to glide to that point, which is pretty impressive. So now that we've tested their movement speed out, which we can obviously determine who the winner is, it's the Rock Drake, just in case you couldn't tell. We're just going to quickly go over their special abilities. Now, like I said, the Rock Drake does have the ability to glide, as you all know. He also has the ability to climb up walls, so he pretty much acts like a Megalania, in that he can actually climb up any, like, the structures. You can see there, we're able to climb up the mountain, you know, you can go over rocks and everything. And then you also have another thing where he can actually get a crosshair up, and you can attack like that, and you do like a mad-ass glide to the target and deal damage to it, which is also another great way. Now, as well as that, his actual final ability is that he can turn himself invisible. Ooh, how mysterious. I know, so it's great. So the Rock Drake does have a plethora of abilities that he is able to utilize. Now, as well as that, he also does have access to a tech saddle, which allows him to fire off laser blasts to anything that comes in his vicinity. Now, you can see here, while gliding, this crosshair does actually come up. We just need a bit of stamina here. and you can actually do that attack where you pretty much fly straight towards it at a very fast pace and continue gliding. You'll see it shortly when we get up enough stamina. Here we go. Now that we've got enough stamina, let's show you off. Here we go. Come on, Rock Drake. There you go. And you can see he does the glide ability, and you pretty much fly to that spot, which is, you know, it's a great way to traverse because it pretty much guarantees you to land at a spot, and you can pretty much get there really fast. So, like flying, but in style. Alright, YUTYRANNUS' abilities, he doesn't have anything. He has the Auto Courage, which actually buffs up, well, he does have abilities, I was lying. He does buff up your tames that you have. I don't know why our Rock Drake, oh, because we're doing the debuff one. You can see the Pelagornis over there, he's flying away, he's got a purple mist around himself. When you use this on wild creatures, you actually reduce the amount of damage they can do to you, which is great. Like, it's great for using it against Rexes and, you know, just PvPers, because you can essentially reduce the amount of damage that their dinos do. I'm pretty sure it's by 25%, so there is that to take into consideration as well. Now, his other raw that he has is a boosting raw. So this essentially boosts your allies, and they deal an extra 25% against enemy creatures, anything in general, to be honest. So you see shortly when we test their melee damage up, just how much of a boost they actually get. So that is the YUTYRANNUS' abilities. He doesn't have a tech saddle like the Rex does, however. So the turning radius of the two as well is pretty good. You know, it's your standard large carnivore turning radius, where they're not too great, but, you know, they're still pretty decent. The YUTYRANNUS, I feel, has a tighter turning radius than the Rex, but you can see there, it's not really too bad. You know, you can easily maneuver with the YUTYRANNUS. You just have to make sure you have enough stamina for it. So the turning radius of the YUTYRANNUS is pretty good. We're going to come over to the Rock Drake here. He does have a little bit of a wider turning radius. You'll notice here, he does take rather large circles to turn, which can be annoying, especially when gliding, because, you know, you're trying to maneuver and, you know, you can just be like, I'm trying, struggling. Oh my god, can we please turn? Yes, so, you know, the Rock Drake turning radius, not that great, but, you know, what would you expect? He does have a very long, girthy body, so, you know, it is to be understood. But, you know, yeah, they're still pretty decent. Alright, we're going to jump into their melee damage next and see just how good they fare up. Alrighty, so now that we've got this large Bronto in front of us who's so willingly acted as our test dummy, you can see we're dealing 52 damage with the Rock Drake against the Bronto. Now we're going to get our YUTYRANNUS to attack, and you'll see just how much damage the YUTYRANNUS does. And you can see there it is 69 damage. Higher than the Rock Drake, but just on par with the Rex. Now, if we were to jump on the YUTYRANNUS for a moment, as soon as we, there we go, you can see there. So we've got the Rock Drake attacking, the YUTYRANNUS did 69, the Rock Drake was doing 52. If we buff our Rock Drake, you'll see that the damage will actually increase. So you can see that our Rock Drake is now dealing 66 damage, and that just goes to show that the buff of the Yuty also increases the damage. It also decreases the amount of damage that your creatures take. You can see the Bronto was hitting us for 28 earlier, it's now only hitting 18. So, you know, the YUTYRANNUS is definitely a creature that I would recommend getting for PvP, even for boss battles. Definitely need a YUTYRANNUS for boss battles, because you can actually increase the damage output of all your dinos and decrease the damage that they take. It's a great skill to have and a great dino to have as well. And apologies for that, I stand corrected. We were actually taking 30 damage from the Bronto before the buff, and you just saw there the YUTYRANNUS was only taking, sorry, the Rock Drake was only taking 15 points of damage. So it effectively halves the amount of damage that you take from enemy dinos. Alright, okay, we've got them set to following each other, let's turn that off. Okay, you can also set auto courage on the YUTYRANNUS, so you can actually auto courage automatically. Just be careful because they do utilize stamina with this skill, so you can easily run your YUTYRANNUS out of stamina really quickly. Alright, so now we're going to test who gathers the most meat and hide. Alrighty, so here we are with YUTYRANNUS. We're just going to quickly drop all the meat in its inventory. There we go. Now, you can see we've got two dead stegos in front of us. One is for the Yuty, one is for the Rock Drake. Let's get into it. So, there we go. You can see there we've got, what, 5 raw prime meats, 76 raw meat, and 50 hide, which isn't a decent amount, you know. Obviously, the YUTYRANNUS has the same amount of melee damage as the Rex. I don't think the Rock Drake will gather as much as the YUTYRANNUS, because it doesn't have as much melee damage as the YUTYRANNUS does, but that's not bad. 5 prime meats, 76 raw meat, and 50 hide. Now we're going to grab the Rock Drake and see how much he's managing to get. Okay, so the Rock Drake, you can see that we just dropped all the meat that we had in its inventory. We're going to see here, oh, it is actually surprisingly, so he actually managed to get 69 raw meat, 2 raw prime meat, and 54 hide. So, significantly big difference between the Rock Drake and the Yutyrannus. The Yutyrannus was able to gather a lot more raw prime than the Rock Drake, and the Rock Drake only gathered 3 more hide than the Yutyrannus. So it's not really that much of a difference in terms of hide, but in terms of prime meat, you can tell that the Yutyrannus is definitely the king here in terms of gathering prime meat. Alright, while we've got you guys here, we're quickly going to take a look at their swim speed. Honestly, I would use the Rock Drake in the water. He's actually a really good swimmer. You can see that he isn't obviously the fastest swimmer, but he does swim rather fast, and an added bonus is that you can actually jump out of the water and go into a glide while swimming through the ocean. You can see that if we're able to get it off, there we go. You can see that we're able to actually glide back over the ocean. So, you know, he is a decent swimmer. Obviously, I would recommend taking him into the ocean or water or whatever, but you got to think Aberration does have small pockets of lakes and whatnot, so you can obviously take the Rock Drake in there and, you know, use him in there. But, you know, even on the regular islands and Ragnarok and whatnot, you can still take him into the ocean and, you know, go diving with him. Obviously not go deep water diving with him, because you probably wouldn't want to do that, because he would probably run out of oxygen, and, you know, that's not a good thing. So the Yutyrannus, on the other hand, is extremely slow in the ocean. You know, he kind of just dog paddles through it all. You know, I wouldn't recommend taking the Yutyrannus into the ocean for anything more than, you know, crossing a small river or lake, because chances are you will probably lose him to the denizens of the deep. But there we go, that has pretty much concluded everything in this video. The final thing we do need to do is the battle to the death between the two to determine who is the strongest. And honestly, my money is on the Yutyrannus because of his debuff roll, his increased health, and his increased melee damage. But enough of my rambling, let's get into it. Okay guys, now one final thing before we do the battle to the death, we actually forgot to showcase the Rock Drake's main attack, the 150 damage boost that it does. So the dive bomb attack actually does damage as well. I'm not 100% sure if we actually mentioned that through the video, but we just wanted to showcase it there. You can see there that the Rock Drake is actually able to hit 150 damage onto targets that he hits with this attack. There we go, again you can see on the Equus. Now if he had access to this ability while fighting the Yutyrannus, I still don't think he would win, just because I don't think the AI in Ark is well enough for it to, you know, support that kind of thing. Where are you going? Okay, we're going to fix them up for a battle to the death. Alrighty, here we go. They're ready to go. They don't have their saddles on. We've unclaimed the Yuty just because he's got the higher health and the higher melee damage. But here they go. They're underway. The Yutyrannus is just going to debuff the Rock Drake, and he's just going to hit him for nothing. And now the Yuty is just going to shred the Rock Drake up. You can see there, the Rock Drake does not stand a chance against the Yutyrannus, especially with its debilitating roar. The Rock Drake is just going to get annihilated. You can see there, it's already bloody. The Yutyrannus not even breaking a sweat to take out this Rock Drake. Like, there's no hope for him. And yeah, it's over. There you go. You can see there, the Rock Drake has just been killed. We're going to jump into the Yuty now and see just how much damage he took. So the Rock Drake managed to get him onto 500 health. So the Rock Drake did about 600 damage to the Yutyrannus, but, you know, it still wouldn't have been enough. Even if the Rock Drake was, say, level 3 or level 4, I highly doubt it would have been strong enough to take out the Yutyrannus, especially with the Yutyrannus' debuffing roar. So all in all, in my opinion, you need to tame both these creatures up. Both of them have their worth, both of them have their uses, and they're both highly useful creatures. So I definitely recommend getting both of them, especially a Yutyrannus, because you can take the Yutyrannus with you to boss fights, buff all your dudes, and easily take on the bosses. Alrighty guys, that'll conclude today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this Ark Insight. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. We'll be having more Ark Insights on the way for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.